Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends today. Well, it's been almost a year and a half since I did a guide on Elhain inside this game. We're going to do an updated guide. I have a lot to add to my original video, including new masteries, new artifacts, and just new recommendations as this game continues to evolve. So does this channel. It justifies, kind of remaking some of these older builds on popular champions inside the game. Now, I do consider all four of the starting champions, including Elhain, to be buildable to be top 20 rare champions overall. In today's video, we're going to talk about my preferred build for Elhain and what makes her unique. Now, I do think, and I'm going to throw the question to you guys, which champion did you start with? If you're anything like me, you probably went with Kayle. I'm imagining scrolling through these comments and seeing a bunch of people going with Kayle. But the good news is, again, you don't have to build just one. I do think that it's undeniable that Kayle is the best in a vacuum out of the four champions, but that doesn't mean that especially Elhain and Elhain don't justify building. I'm a little bit softer on GFUEL, how much I love this guy, but he still hits really hard. I think that all four of them are you can justify putting your resources into them. So Elhain, what makes her so special? First of all, her HP compared to the other starting champions is about 1,000 more. However, her defense is about 100 less, as you guys can see. But the real good news is every other starting champion's speed is 103, not Elhain, it is 107. 4 speed to new players especially might not sound like much, but 107 base speed is incredibly good, especially for a starting champion inside this game. It's going to make a big impact. So she's a great nuker, and she also has a double hitter on her A3, and she's fast, which is great to see on Elhain. Before we let's take a look at her skills here. And as we do, I want to pull up a Yumi Love, which will be linked for you guys in the show notes below. What I want to do here is read off the damage multipliers on all her skills as well. So you can see the A1 has a multiplier of 2.2 attack. Her A2 has a multiplier of 3.65 attack, plus 2.05 attack on the AoE, and then her AoE 2-time hitter Valley of Death has a 1.9 multiplier on attack times 2. So, almost there, 3.8 in terms of overall damage, or 2 separate 1.9 AoE instances. So those are the actual multipliers. Now, what does that mean?
I have absolutely no idea.
What it means is she has pretty decent multipliers. If you just look at a champion's base stats, as you can see here on the main screen, it doesn't tell the full tale of how much damage they're actually going to be putting out. So it's always good to know these multipliers, and the more you look at multipliers and compare one champion to another, the more you'll get a feel for what is good and what is just average or bad. So on the A1, places an extra hit if the attack is critical. So right off the bat, we're pretty much always getting 2 hits off of that A1 unless we're attacking into force affinity. On the A2, attacks one enemy, then attacks all enemy, and that's why, or all enemies, excuse me, and that's how we saw those 2 separate multipliers, a 3.6 and a 2.05, something along those lines, if I remember correctly. So a nice AoE attack on a 4-turn cooldown also has a 15% chance of inflicting an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit, plays a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns if the target is killed. Now, me personally, I'm still trying to build Elhain with 100% crit rate despite this buff in there and despite the extra 15%, but that's just me because it does not apply to her A3, which is on a 3-turn cooldown. So I'm still aiming for 100%, but she's one of those champions that, listen, if you can get crit damage gauntlets on her by having around a 90% crit rate, give or take, I will make that trade-off. We'll talk about that when we move into the artifacts. So again, attacks all enemies 2 times, Valley of Death does a decent amount of damage. Not a huge hitting ability, but it is hitting twice. Her aura, like all the starting champions, increase HP in all battles by 15%. A solid aura for the beginning of Raid Shadow Legends. In terms of her masteries here, there's no reason for accuracy. Similar to Elhain, unlike Kayle and GFUEL, there's no reason for accuracy on this champion. So we don't have to go the support tree on her. There's really no reason to go support on Elhain. Instead, you want to end with War Master as your tier 6 mastery. That would be my recommendation. recommendation. If you're only going to use her in the arena, you can go with Helm Smasher. And I personally am not a big fan of Flawless Execution on this champion. Even if you're going to go just arena, go Helm Smasher. If you're going to use her, heck, anywhere else, basically, dungeons and arena, dungeons, Doom Tower, Faction Wars, arena, anything other than just arena, I would just go War Master on Elhain. And also, I went with Retribution, 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. Oftentimes, that is going to be the case, so it's nice to have that counterattack going into the A1 there with Retribution. Also, some noteworthy masteries to pick up. Make sure you hug the left side of the offense tree, guys. Damage inflicted by 5% when attacking with full HP. Damage inflicted to targets with less than 40% HP. All of these on the left-hand side really do tend to add up. I also like increased speed by 6 for each enemy killed by this champion on Whirlwind of Death. You can stack up to 18 extra speed on that already very high base speed that she has of 107. And she is going to be killing a lot of enemies. We also have Cycle of Violence, 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill. Both of her cooldown skills are strong AoE attacks by 1 turn if the damage inflicted by a skill exceeds 30% of the target's max HP. Good for waves, certainly, right? Refreshing the cooldowns of those AoE attacks. So when we talk about masteries on Elhain, guys, I am such a big fan of lifesteal, of vamp gear on this champion. I think that you can farm, what is it, Vladimir Strait? I think it's stage 8? 7? I think you can farm in campaign even, especially on brutal once you get to brutal difficulty. Farm for lifesteal gear in the early game, and then just farm lifesteal gear for dragon. You can put it on your Kael and put it on your Elhain. It's going to make a dramatic difference because when you put lifesteal gear on Elhain, you don't have to worry so much about stacking up a bunch of HP and a bunch of defense. It gives you the luxury of putting an attack percentage chest piece on this champion and not having to worry about her being, well, a glass cannon. She's very, very fragile, right? So for this build, because we have lifesteal on her, because we were able to do that with our gear here, we're just going to go all out attack everywhere else. Attack percentage on the chest. We have an attack on her ring. We have crit damage on her amulet, and we have, well, resistance. We don't want resistance on, I only have it because it has a beautiful triple roll here, but I actually think that we have something better for her. Attack with a little bit extra speed, sacrificing for this banner, I'm gonna go ahead and make that trait. So attack on the banner, I do think is a smart move, and I really try to get speed on my banner on Elhain, okay? So I'm looking for attack main stat, speed substat there, and again, you can go with crit damage on your amulet. You don't even have to worry about the accuracy on the sub roll as we normally are concerned with because she doesn't need it. Now, my first order of business is getting Elhain into lifesteal gear. My second order of business when building Elhain is trying to get her in crit damage on the gauntlets. Even if it's not a great artifact like the one that I have right now, what I'm looking for is crit rate as a substat on all the rest of my artifacts, right? So you can see the top row here. I didn't even level them up to 16. I'm okay with just taking the top row, especially early and mid game, especially how much of a silver shortage there is right now inside the game. I'm cool with just leaving these at level 12 and then going 16 on the accessories and on the middle row. So again here, I'm looking for speed, I'm looking for crit rate. I'm looking for crit rate, I'm looking for more crit rate, right? We didn't get a lot of speed, but we need that crit rate. And once I have a few pieces with nice substats of crit rate, I'm able to get the crit damage gauntlets on her. That's going to dramatically increase her damage overall. And then on the boots, we went speed. You know, so pretty obvious. You definitely want to go speed on your boots with Elhain. In terms of my total stats here, again, we're a little shy of the 100% crit rate at 85. She does have that increased crit rate on her A2, so that's always going to be hitting with 100%. We have 187 on the speed. We have 3,700 on the attack, and again, pretty squishy on her HP and her defense. So without vamp gear, without lifesteal on your Elhain, I'm really going to need this defense to be more towards 2,000 to 2,500 range. In this HP, she might get targeted with HP this low, so I'd recommend shooting for around 30k plus HP, but we don't have to worry about that because of the lifesteal. She puts out enough damage that she's going to be able to heal herself. So that's how I have her built, guys. In terms of where to use Elhain, You can really use her everywhere. Campaign locations are great. Well, I shouldn't say everywhere. I'm not using her in Fire Knight. Especially not Fire Knight 20, but even with 2 hits on her A1, I don't think she's that great. You can use her in all the keeps. I do think she's fantastic for Ice Golem. I think that she's fantastic for Dragon's Lair. Basically, she's great for Spider's Den, especially in progression, and for arena offense, she's great as well. So you can really use her in a variety of different places. She's a pretty versatile champion overall. So let's go ahead and start her out in the arena. Might as well, right? So let's see what we have here in the arena. This first team could be a challenge, but let's see what we can do. So we have a team already set up. We have a Sky Touch Shaman here to cleanse the freeze of Tormund. I'm just not sure we're going to be able to kill this team on the first shot, but, you know, worst thing that can happen is we lose, right? Not a big deal. So we do go first. We're going to go ahead and speed boost. So again, on your arena teams, this might be very basic for some of you guys, but having your speed booster go first, then having your debuffer, in this case, it's Madame Ceres right above my head, go second. Either remove all those buffs or do whatever she's going to do. Then you can have your flex position, either your crowd control champion or your turn meter champion or your increased crit damage champion, increased speed, whatever you may have. In this case, it is Sky Touch Shaman. She's going to put a block debuffs and also cleanse Arbiter here. So let's see if Elhain can stay alive. Well, she does have the revive on death, but she doesn't get to take a turn, and now she's provoked. So things aren't looking so hot here, guys, but we'll see. There's still a ways to go, and we have the revival on Arbiter. This is a pretty challenging team, I'm not going to lie. But let's see if we can steal some buffs here. We do steal a few. We still have that revive on death, and we're going to get this cooldown cycled, but she's going to be frozen. The majority of this battle, until we get the refresh on the cleanse, she is going to be frozen. So let's see what we can do. Actually, I can just take it on, put it on auto here, and see if we can pull off somewhat of a miracle. Unfortunately, she is going to be frozen quite a bit. She has a very low resist on this build, and I don't really recommend building her with a high resist. Even if you are going against Tormund teams, it's much easier just to build her with a cleanser on the team alongside her. So there goes Sky Touch, but we can finally get into her A2. So she's going to default into her A2. Got to be careful there of that Skull Crown, but it looks like we're going to pull this one off. Arbiter's only one skill away from the revive. There it is again. So we get a couple shots here, but Elhain does fall to Seeker, who actually can hit hard on his A1. And now it looks like we're probably going to lose Sky Touch again. You know what, guys? I'll come back at you at the end of this one. You guys don't need to see this for 10 minutes. Be right back. Alright guys, so we finished the battle there. Elhain got the final blow, so not too bad. Overall 107,000 damage. Probably not the best illustration of her in the arena. Ideally, these teams move fast. We move really fast here, and we plow away these teams rather quickly. Let's go ahead and just put it on auto. It's interesting that she does auto into her A2. I wasn't aware of that, but it is definitely noteworthy here that she's autoing into A2, attacking one enemy first, then all other enemies. Let's go ahead and go into her A3 here instead and see if we can kill anybody here. Boom, boom. Wow, we killed 3 of the enemy team. So Elhain is no joke in the arena, guys. Again, make sure you add Helm Smasher if you're only using her for the arena and ignore some defense. Also, you can take her out of lifesteal gear and put her into Savage gear eventually when you're able to farm it from Fire Knight. Again, out of lifesteal and into Savage, out of War Master and into Helm Smasher Mastery if you want to make her just a godlike arena nuker. So let's go ahead and show you guys here in Ice Golem, which I'm a big fan of her as a nuker in Ice Golem. And now you guys are going to be able to see what she can do in the lifesteal gear. This team is pretty accessible. Granted, we do have Silva Drakes, who's a daily login reward champion. We do have Stag Knight, who's not the easiest champion to get being epic. We have Reliquary Tender, and then we have Greybeard, who's a total farmable rare champion inside campaign. So we have Greybeard and Silva Drake on this team, and their role is to CC the enemy team, either have them stunned or frozen. And then we have the role, obviously, of Elhain to be an all-out nuker. We have the role of Reliquary Tender to be the support, healer champion, cleanser champion on this team. And look at Elhain right now, guys. She would be almost dead right now going into the reflect, but that lifesteal gear is keeping her alive. So she is self-healing in this situation. And you can see, even though things looked a little rocky there, they were actually well under control, excuse me, because I have two revivers on the team. So if Scylla the Drake's on the left, if she was to die, Reliquary Tender can pick her back up and vice versa. Now, another thing I love about this team is once we actually get to the Ice Golem, we've already won this attack. This is a 100% success rate team, and that's what I love about it, right? And part of the methodology, the reason we're 100% success rate utilizing this team and not wasting any energy off losses is because of the lifesteal, again, on Elhain. It's so important, and the fact that she's really the only big damage dealer on this team. We talk about this a lot here on the channel, but pacing yourself, if you're having difficulties, especially now that they're going to be adding 5 more levels onto Ice Golem, don't feel like you need to pull off a 1 minute or a 2 minute run. Go 3 or 4 minutes, pace yourself, and you won't have to go against the onslaught of auto attacks from the Ice Golem. You can allow your healers to keep up with the rest of the team. So again, Elhain here, not putting out insane damage, but heck, that was 75k damage to the minion there that she just rattled off, plus including the War Master proc. So not too bad at all, and at the end of this battle, you guys will see she is going to be our main damage dealer on this team, and of course, Stag Knight is the debuffer. You can also run War Maiden as a debuffer in Ice Golem 20 because of the affinity matchup. I will be right back at the end of this battle. So guys, I wanted to show you one more thing. In Miniatures Labyrinth, we can go ahead and speed farm just using Elhain in lifesteal gear. So you can put one champion with her, speed farm their masteries, and she's going to be able to take care of herself in terms of heals. You can do the same thing with Shield Guard. Basically any champion in lifesteal gear with a bunch of hard-hitting AoE attacks that's able to kind of heal themselves up, as you guys can see. So really, really cool that you can do this. And again, all you need to do is pair, if you're really trying to just build out one champion and you're not looking to spend, 300 or 800 gems, excuse me, to just buy their masteries. This is a quick whip. What's going on here? What's going on here?
It's one of life's mysteries, sir.
I guess Bug Raid Shadow Legend is going on right now. I hope she's doing okay. Elhain, you're that way. Elhain, are you okay?
I'm all alone. There's no one here.
Okay, guys, well, I guess I'll be back at the end of the battle. I'm sure you're enjoying this. So there we have it, guys. We couldn't see it, but she got it done. So in a little over a minute, too. So again, pair her with another champion. And if you play your masteries right, too, you can actually pick up a bunch of speed if your allies, pick up the speed if allies die mastery. That would be kind of a niche thing to do. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this updated guide here on Elhain. She's definitely a champion worth looking into if you're looking for a dependable AoE nuker for your dungeon teams or for the arena. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.